Welcome back to Marathon Phoenix Commentary. My name is Ryoko TK. This is the second episode. In this episode, we'll be covering the levels Nottingham Lace, which is coming up here, and the first secret level, which is Running from Evil. Nottingham Lace is the second level that I made. When compared against the previous level, A Space Marine is You, this level is much more open, and it's very non-linear. It's got several objectives that you need to accomplish, and you can accomplish them in just about any order. And as such, it's a more dynamic level. It's one that has a more natural flow and evolution to it. And it's actually one that I really like this level a lot. But it's also, even though it's one of the oldest levels, it's one that I've actually tinkered with the least, or pretty close. The most revision that I've done on this level is actually this courtyard fight right here that I just cleaned out. In previous versions of Phoenix, the fight didn't start until you actually entered the courtyard. And that was, as I learned, kind of the wrong way to do it. Because although it made it more challenging, it was also more unnatural. It was challenging because, none of the monsters would activate until you were already in the room. And that committed you to the fight with a whole bunch of, enemies at full health surrounding you. But it just felt like a set piece, and I had to do it more naturally. So in this most recent version, I changed the trigger to be the start of the level, like the room that I just left. Because that way, it seemed like the fight was already going on. And although it made the fight a lot easier to resolve, it just was better for the level. And that's obviously, one of the considerations that you need to make, and one that I'm not very good at making. As far as, designing set pieces go, I do have a lot of combat set pieces in Phoenix. That's kind of how it works, which is sort of unusual for marathon scenarios. Most other games, of course, are very set piece heavy. And in Phoenix, I use sort of the one-way door to sort of denote that a set piece is coming up. And this level, that fight in the previous room with the pool in it, had a one-way door. I like using it because, Marathon is a game that has save points that you can use endlessly. It has recharges that you can use endlessly, and I don't want Phoenix to be the game that's so hard that you feel like you have to go back to the save and use it over and over. I want to give people the resources that they need once. Save one time, get a whole bunch of health and ammo, and then go off and fight the fight, and you can't go back to reuse the save endlessly during the fight, but you don't need to because you're already well armed. So I'll use this is a one-way drop right here, obviously, gravity being what it is. And once you go down this hole, it sort of commits you to the next part of this path of the level. This is a secret exit. I'm going to come back here later. As far as how this level goes, there's a handful of objectives. You're looking for 3 terminals, 2 of which are accessible right away, and the third one is accessible only after you open a big door. To open the big door, you need to find an uplink chip, and then you need to find the place that the uplink chip goes. So although the uplink chip is not like a stated objective of the level, it ends up being part of what you need to do to solve the level. And that's kind of how I like to make levels. It's a sort of Doom-like tradition, of course. You find the key card and you find the door. But it feels a little more realistic when you give it some context and kind of the storytelling and sort of the way that the level's laid out. Which is what I did. Or what I think I did, anyway. And you can see sort of on the left, you can see the courtyard again. What I meant about this level being kind of small, it takes about 10 minutes to finish this level, which is on the smaller side, but it's not bad. But it's a small level because I'm continuously tying in sort of ancillary spaces back to the context of that courtyard. And that's the thing that I think some shooting games do fairly well, and some do extremely poorly. Most, first-person shooters that get derided as, kind of go down a corridor to a set piece, then another corridor to another set piece. They don't do it where they don't tie the set pieces together, and the level design really suffers for that because you're missing out on important context here. A new FPS that came out relatively recently, or I guess is still in development, is called Rack. It's on Steam. It's fairly inexpensive. It bills itself as an old school shooter, sort of like a Quake 2 style shooter, and it's just terrible. Because it's got the kind of Quake style sort of rapid movement and sort of death pits and it is a very old school shooter by design, but the level design is god awful because it is just set piece and then a corridor and then another set piece and another corridor, and it really did it wrong. So, and that's kind of what I mean. Whereas there are other shooters out there, and actually some modern ones that do it kind of okay. The first BioShock game did it fairly well in some situations, not all of them. Where you would, if you haven't played BioShock is divided into, I think, 7 or 8 sort of regions. The regions are large, of course, but they do a pretty good job of continuously bringing you back and forth through sort of main areas in a way that doesn't feel like you're just tediously backtracking, because you're coming in at a different angle and you're seeing it from a new perspective relative to the sort of the rest of the level. So it's not just a sequence of rooms. There's more context to it. And that's kind of how I'm doing it. This is sort of a linear level. It's a bunch of sections that are linear, and you can approach those sections in a non-linear way. But because I keep tying it back to the context of the courtyard, it at least has sort of the image that there's more. It's a real space. I'm almost done with the level here. I've just got a couple big fights left to do, and then I've got a couple secrets to find. We're coming up to sort of the final main set piece of the level is what's behind the big door, what's behind door number 1. And now that I've put the uplink chip in place, I can go and approach the last terminal. And I'm introducing the blue hunters now. It's a new style of enemy in Phoenix. When I made new enemies for Phoenix, I had to be a little more inventive about making tough enemies, because the lazy way in Marathon, or I guess in any game, of making an enemy harder is just to make its numbers bigger. I give it more health, I make it shoot more times, I make it walk faster. And that stuff is super lame, because it doesn't change the AI, it doesn't change how the player reacts to the fight, it just makes the fight go longer. So if you know how to kill a hunter by circle strafing so that you never get hit by its bolts, it doesn't matter how much health it is, or how much health it has. Which is why, Mother of all Hunters enemies in Vanilla Marathon are super tedious. They're not challenging. They just take more ammo out of your pocket. So one thing that I had to do was change how they attack in order to make them more threatening. And so with the blue hunters, rather than firing the same sort of pew 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 pattern that the regular hunters do, they fire in a very rapid and inaccurate sort of burst. And they move, they fire that burst very quickly, and then they move quickly, and then they attack again quickly. So they keep the player on the toes with an attack that's harder to avoid without being cheap. But also, it takes more to it than just circle strafing, because they move so erratically and they shoot so rapidly. Their AI is more unpredictable. And the blue compilers that you also saw in that level were sort of the same way. They fire in a burst. This is the secret level. This is Running from Evil. This is a ripoff of the first level of Doom 2, Entryway. Running from Evil is the name of the music that plays in that level. As I said in the previous video, Doom was one of my major inspirations for Phoenix, and I figured why not sort of tie it back together with sort of this homage or this retread of a classic level in a classic game. Only making it a lot more difficult. And of course, since it's in Marathon and not Doom, it does play pretty differently. The secret levels I try to be a little more inventive with. Or, kind of make them play in a way that's sort of abnormal compared to the rest of Phoenix. And in that respect, all of the secret levels follow the same general rules. The first big one is that there's only one save opportunity, and it's right at the start of the level. So you have to do the whole level in one shot. That's true for all 4 secret levels in Phoenix. And the point of doing the secret levels is to get the rocket launcher. You don't get the rocket launcher normally until the second to last level in the game. So to get the rocket launcher now, it's a good prize. And that's what I think a lot of secret levels and a lot of secret levels in games like Rubicon. Well, Rubicon did it okay. Doom did it very poorly, where there wasn't really a reason to do the secret levels, except that it was, inherently fun, depending on the level. But in this case, it's about getting that rocket launcher. And in all 4 secret levels, the rocket launcher is itself a secret. And so you have to find the secret exit. If you find the secret exit to get to the secret level, then I know as a designer that you're into finding secrets. So all of the secret levels sort of revolve around finding the secrets, rather than just reaching the exit. Because the exit's right there to my left as I'm talking. It's right there. You can be through with this level in 30 seconds, but then what's the point? You didn't find anything. So there's no objective to this level. No stated objective to this level. But if you just reach the end and it's like, oh, well, that's it. Hopefully you would know in your head, I should actually take my time, find all the secrets, maybe there's something cool here. All the secrets in this level are the same secrets that they were in the original Doom 2 level. And I'm coming up on the rocket launcher now, where the rocket launcher is in the Doom level. As far as the secret placement goes, my general rule for putting secrets in any level that I make is that there has to be a tell. There has to be some sort of giveaway. Because I don't want people just sort of blindly mashing on each wall. Like, walk up to the wall, hit the tab button. Nope, nothing here. Go 3 feet down, try it again. That's a pretty uninteresting way of hiding secrets. I always have to have a tell. So, like, you can look on the map and you can see that it looks different. Or maybe there's a misaligned texture. Or maybe the shading looks weird. Or maybe it's a dead end, a mysterious dead end in the middle of nowhere. There's always some sort of tell. At least in my head, there's a tell. And the reason I bring it up is because I think this level actually does its secrets pretty poorly. The secret to get to the rocket launcher, you have to jump on that light panel. Not the one that I just passed, but a different one. And it opens a door in a different room. And you wouldn't know that it did that unless you went back and looked. So to me, that's not fair. There would have to be some sort of more obvious connection. Anyway, that's coming up to the end of this video. This is the beginning of the next level, Enchanting New Mexico. And I'm just trying to reach the save point here. I'll try to edit the next video to have this opening in again. But thank you for watching. I will talk to you again next time.